Hey everyone, John Chapman, financial planner at WorthPoint. I'm joined by my colleague, Morgan Spith. And today we want to talk a little bit about Morgan's new book, Generation Squeezed. Morgan, thanks for joining us today. We're excited to talk to you. Tell us a little bit about the process of writing this book, or maybe first start with why you felt like you wanted to write it in the first place.
Well, the book is called Generation Squeezed, a holistic guide to taking care of aging parents. And it was a natural progression of really my life, in essence. I've been a financial advisor for over 15 years, and I went through the process of being a caretaker and helping my aging parents. My father passed away originally from dementia, and my mom passed away from lung cancer. And when I was going through that process, I realized there's so many people I was talking to that were going through the same situation, and they just seemed lost. And I realized there was a lot of people out there lost. They weren't prepared, and it had the potential, or was in fact destroying their lives. I mean, there's this pressure that they have with their lives and their families already. You add on this pressure of having to take care of your parents and seeing them pass away before your eyes. That's the idea of getting squeezed. And so I just thought, from my background as a financial advisor, dealing with clients, going through the same thing, preparing clients to go through the same thing, and having that life experience, there was a really good opportunity for me to help a lot of folks out there.
There is an interesting overlap there. On the one hand, you're a financial advisor, and one of the things you talk about amongst just the financial plan is the estate plan. It's talking about what someone would want for their own life, but maybe also their parents or grandparents, and then you live through it firsthand. What were some of the things that you learned through this process?
One of the first things I realized that you need to do, a lot of people think they may need to just start getting busy and helping their parents, but you have to have the tool set within yourself to maintain your emotional health. Because if you don't, it's very likely that your life can break down and you'll get depressed. I mean, really, when I had to go, for example, when I went in to see my dad who had dementia, we were very close, and I had to build up my emotional energy to do that. And one of the ways I did that was through meditation, specifically metta meditation. And so I talk about in the book different avenues and things to think about to help yourself maintain your energy and your mental, emotional, and psychological health. So I think that's one aspect that a lot of people don't think about. And I think that is the first thing you need to do.
I think that's an important topic, and you're right. It's probably one that's easily overlooked. People start thinking about, or maybe us as financial advisors start thinking about some of the more legal matters or the financial planning matters, but the emotional aspect of this might be really challenging. And especially, I know for the millennial generation that is preparing for their parents to become aging, what are some of the other tips that you have in your book or ideas that you'd like to share about how people can be best prepared to deal with aging parents?
Part of my idea is I want to prepare millennials for what they're going to experience in life. I mean, realistically, look, 20s and 30s, great times of our lives, right? It's not the norm that people are passing away. As you get older, more family members start to pass away, and death for many starts becoming more a part of your life and things you have to deal with. And when it comes to your parents, if they're important to you, the pearls that you can learn from this book, I think, are going to be very important. So just things like family meetings, for example. See if you can help start having family meetings to talk about, many things, including what do your parents have set up? What don't they have set up? They expect you to take over the business. What if your sibling wants it and you don't? Those kinds of things. So I think just starting with family meetings is a really good thing to think about. Get everyone communicating. And then there's a whole bunch of other laundry list of things to do that I talk about in my book. But I think the big thing is you can't approach this as just a administrative investment financial exercise. There's going to be a lot of emotions and a lot of subconscious boxes that you have locked away for many years that are going to come pouring out with your emotions. And if you're not prepared and if you don't think about these things, it's going to affect you. It's going to affect your family. It's going to affect your work negatively in all aspects, really.
Speaking of some of the emotional piece, for many people, they may go through this once as one or both of their parents age and then pass away, and then they may not revisit it much after that. But you went through the process of actually writing the book. So tell us a little bit about actually going back and revisiting some of these memories and then having to write about it.
Well, you've probably heard this before. It was the exercise is a healthy exercise. Anytime you can write down and revisit those emotions and get them out on paper, it's very uplifting. And that's part of what I want people to accomplish by reading the book, is to give them a little more sense of being lighter, that there's a light at the end of the tunnel and they can come through the process being a better person than they were at the beginning. So for me, initially, the initial part of writing was very cathartic, is a good word to say. And everything came out very easily. Now, when it came to the point of how to structure the book, how to make it user-friendly, and think about how I want to incorporate both the kind of touchy-feely aspects of it with the technical aspects of it, I had to reach out and talk to some folks, because really, although I've written a lot of things, this is the first book that I've published. But it's been a very great, really neat learning experience. And I really feel good already talking to people and helping people out. So
some of the things that you talk about in the book that you reference is the top 3 things you can do to ensure that your life doesn't fall apart when you start helping your aging and sick parents. Can you share a little bit about what some of those things are?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a couple simple things. The first thing I talked about already, you need to have the tools to maintain your own spiritual, emotional, and psychological health. So, and one of the things I like to say is it's good to talk to people, but sometimes talking can be an excuse to get things done. So just be wary of that slippery slope there. One really simple thing that I talk about is password keepers. You can't imagine how frustrating it can be if you're trying to help your parent out and you have I mean, maybe you have legal authority to act on their behalf, but you have no access to their online accounts. And really, a lot of this book is to help you with time efficiency, because you're busy. Little things like that can just put the brakes on your life for a long time. And I guess another thing to think about is be cognizant of that grieving versus depression. And that's a slippery slope too. I talk about, some of the simple ways we know, if you've got to keep yourself active, just remember to take some time out for yourself. And you're no good to anybody unless you've got some level of your life being squared away. Then you're good helping your folks.
Morgan, what else do you hope that readers might be able to receive after going through the process of reading your book?
It all comes down to happiness. I've gone through this with both of my parents passing away, and I felt like I've honored their legacy, and I have given hope to my family and my children by doing this in an honorable way and making sure things were taken care of and conducted properly. Because if it's not done right, and there's a whole bunch of fights between siblings and all the other things you can think about, it's just going to hurt your family and it's going to hurt your kids moving forward into the future. So my overall goal is happiness and health, and coming through this with a sense of peace of mind, as opposed to being depressed and lost. So if a few people can get that out of the book, then mission accomplished.
Right on. That's great. Morgan, you did a terrific job. We're proud of you and all your hard work. For those out there that may be listening that are starting to deal with aging parents and want to know a little bit more about it, tell us how they can get in touch with you or your website or your book.
Well, the website is gensqueezed. That's with a D at the end. So past tense, GENSQUEEZED.com. And on the website, I've got a little bit about me. You'll see up in the upper right, you can buy an ebook on a whole bunch of different places, Barnes & Noble, Apple Books, Amazon Kindle, and then you can buy a hard copy book as well. And I've got some resources on there. So, or you could just go to Amazon if you want to, but that's a good place to go is gensqueeze.com.
Awesome. For those listening, be sure to check out gensqueezed.com to get your hands on a copy. And we look forward to seeing you back here soon. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Have a good day.